Hey y'all, this is Mr. T. Welcome to How to Be a Kid. Want to do a short video today on how pathogens or germs are named. And so specifically with the coronavirus, I wanted to speak to you just real quickly of how it got its name. So when this started coming about in China, they called it this unknown virus. And then after they did some testing, they found out it was a coronavirus. There's multiple different strains of a coronavirus. So what was this originally called? The Wuhan. So for some of you that really know geography, you know that Wuhan is a city in China. So we have the Wuhan coronavirus. The Wuhan coronavirus. And so for the multiple weeks, the media and other organizations were calling this the Wuhan coronavirus. And so I wanted to pause right there and talk about the naming of viruses and when they're initially, or pathogens, diseases, any of those things, when they are initially found out, there's a couple different ways that you can name them. You can be named after the location where they're found. You can be named from the person who discovers it, or maybe from the name of the person who has it, or if it's found in an animal, any of those things. But if you think about it, that's probably not the best way to name it. So I'll give you some examples. So let's think about the swine flu. People, when that initially came out, that pathogen, it was called the swine flu. And so if you're thinking about swine, you think about pigs. And so what do you think that did to the pork industry? Nobody wanted to buy pork. There was whole countries where their whole population of pigs was killed because of that. Let's think about the bird flu. Initially it was called the bird flu. Do you think anybody's going to want to eat any type of birds, purchase any birds, hang out with any type of birds? No. Any of those things. So now let's go back to the Wuhan coronavirus. Wuhan is a city in China. So if this virus was named the Wuhan coronavirus, do you think anybody's going to want to go to Wuhan? No. Even years after this has happened, they're not going to want to do that. One last example, Ebola. Ebola is actually a name of a river. And so do you think anybody who is in that area is going to want to go swimming in the Ebola River? No. And so that's why, for the most part, they don't like to have the name of people, places, animals, things like that. They like to name it in other different ways. So let me show you how this has changed from the Wuhan coronavirus. Okay? So that we're going to drop this. So then the next version of the name was novel. Novel coronavirus. Okay, so novel coronavirus. Novel, that just means new. It's a new coronavirus that we've never seen before. So this is novel coronavirus. That's a name that I like to use because it describes it in detail. The new coronavirus. I really, really like that name. So as time goes on, there's different scientists, there's different media who like to name it. And so this is going to be the name that I think is going to, when people look back 10 years, what are they going to call this? COVID-19 or 2019? COVID-19, 2019. I'll show you a slight variation. 2019 N-CO-V. I'm going to leave that in parentheses right here. Let's go right here. COVID-19. COVID-19 for the World Health Organization. It's the organization that's in charge of the whole world about pandemics, epidemics, diseases, transmission of disease, all of those things. So they have named it COVID-19. Co for corona, vid for virus, D for disease. Coronavirus disease in the year that it first began transmitting, 2019. COVID-19. It kind of sounds like a cool, interesting name, but if you don't know about it, it's a little bit more difficult to know that this is a coronavirus disease from 2019. But that's what COVID-19 is. I think looking back 10 years from now, this is what people will call it, COVID-19. I still refer to it as the novel coronavirus, just because that kind of, in my mind, helps people understand a little bit better of what that disease is. Sometimes you might see it like this, 2019-N. The little N denotes novel. Co for corona, virus. 2019 coronavirus. So that's a little bit of the history of how the name has changed and evolved. And while we might see some different changes to that name from different organizations, it's going to pretty much say COVID-19 because that's from the World Health Organization, or you'll see it as the novel coronavirus. So I encourage you today to look at one disease, one virus, one pathogen, and look up the origins and history of that because it's really, really interesting. So have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.